All right. Good Sunday afternoon, folks. Yeah, I have not made a intro video for Steel City Renegades. This is not Hanging with D's, but it kind of is because it's on that channel. This will be Steel City Renegades. Dave could not join us tonight. Had some emergency pull him away. So here we are. We are going to unfortunately go through the pain of talking about last week's Thursday night loss to the Bengals. We'll cover today's NFL action, and then, of course, we will preview the big Sunday night football matchup with the Green Bay Packers. That is going to be coming to you from Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. So, joining me once again this evening, our buddy from Philly, but he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, Mr. Ryan Neff. How you doing, Ryan?
What's going on? A lot of shitty games on today, my friend. It was bad. It was
Yeah, this
atrocious. Yeah.
it was a good day for me to sleep most of the day. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
These
it
night
was.
games are going to be the death of me with this work schedule that I have, man. Sleep for a couple hours during the day, watch the game, and then try and get, at least 2 or 3 more hours before I go to work at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, all right, let's get the pain part out of the way here. Looking back last week at the Thursday night football game against the Bengals, obviously we come away with a huge loss there, 33-31. um I mean, we talked about it. I was not surprised by it by any means. Just history has shown we struggle mightily on Thursday nights, especially when you are talking a divisional opponent and especially when you're on the road. I did see a couple of things that made me feel a little bit better about it, but the bottom line is they looked like an ill-prepared team that could not adjust on the fly when Cincinnati started crushing us with those slants. Then it opened up the run game. I think Chase Brown, 11 carries, 108 yards. But the main thing there was Joe Flacco just absolutely dissecting that defense, dink and dunk most of the time. He hit us with a couple big ones, but for the most part, it was those quick hitters, and you can't do anything about that. I believe we kind of talked about it on last week's show. You can't get a pass rush when Joe Flacco's getting rid of the ball so quick. Like everybody was complaining about where was our pass rush. Our pass rush couldn't get home in that quick, and it sucked. But here's where we put a nice sunshiny spin on all of this. The entire AFC North on Thursday night football, the road team, and this statistic kind of blew my mind a little bit, but it makes sense having been a fan of the Steelers, and I know the way this division is. All bets are off when it's a divisional game anyway, but this statistic is kind of wild. It doesn't matter what the matchup is. The road team on Thursday night football, if it's a divisional game, which, as you know, they often try to make these games divisional because it's that extra something. But the road teams are 200 win percent, regardless of who it is and what their record is coming into the game. That's how bad, like, or how normal it was for us to lose this game.
Hmm.
So couple that with the fact that statistically, when Mike Tomlin coached teams have a Thursday night game, statistically they bounce back or have a very strong record because they don't always lose Thursday, but most of the time. But they bounce back big in the following week. I don't know what the exact numbers are. I think it's like 12-2, or I don't know. It's something crazy. Um, Also, night games that take place not on Thursday, in other words, Sunday night, Monday night football. Mike Tomlin has a very successful coaching record. Even better when you make that a home game. So all of those factors have me feeling a lot more confident about this game tonight than the way I was feeling 10 days ago going into that game in Cincinnati, especially against Joe Flacco, who, if there is a quarterback in the NFL right now active that knows our defense, what the looks are, what we're going to be trying to do, it's Joe Flacco, because he's seen it for damn near 20 years. And he
Mhm.
alluded to that in the press conference about, he knew what they were doing, knew what was going to happen. And he was able, half the time he didn't know what the goddamn play call was, but he was still able to dink and dunk and hit him over the top. I look for this defense to bounce back in a big way. I know Green Bay's coming in with a very strong rushing run game. I believe Josh Jacobs sits at around 414 yards, 8 touchdowns. So not dominant, but still solid. Like they keep you honest. Christian Watson's supposed to be making his return to the lineup tonight. I believe Matthew Golden is also good to go for the Packers offense as well. Jordan Love's one of those quarterbacks who 1 week looks like he's the second coming and the third franchise superstar that Green Bay has had in as many quarterbacks. And then they'll come out and look pretty ho-hum. I'm hoping tonight is one of those ho-hum games because I do believe that Jordan has great arm talent. He's mobile, but not, like Lamar Jackson type mobile. So we're going to have to try and get him off his spot, but not let him go, and get crazy. But again, the main thing is my confidence level is a lot higher this week than it was against Cincinnati. What is your initial thoughts on what you have seen and what you think might happen tonight?
Well, if they play tonight like they did last week, they're not going to win.
Well, yeah, I think if they play like that against anybody, they're going to struggle for sure. Offense, look, I got no complaints.
Look,
Yeah.
look, Rodgers turned the ball over twice last week. He's got to cut down on that. Obviously, I don't know how bad it hurt them, but if they get a lead,
He did, but I don't blame those. DK Metcalf was responsible, in my opinion, for both of those. The one ball, okay, Aaron maybe shouldn't have thrown that one, but if DK doesn't kind of give up on it, he may break that up. And then the other ball, DK just flat out bobbled it and let the DB rip it away. But yeah, definitely can't just give an offense like Green Bay extra shots. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just the defense has to pick it up at some point. And why not at home in prime time against the Green Bay Packers team that a lot of people are expecting to make a deep playoff push? So I expect them to run the football tonight. I expect them to pound the rock. Maybe Aaron Rodgers will dink and doink like Joe Flacco did against them last week. I don't know what the main ingredient in the algorithm is going to be this week, but I think they're going to run Jalen Warren and they're going to mix in some play action. But again, the defense has to step up because if they don't, they're not going to win this game. They're not going to win many games.
Yeah, on paper right now, it doesn't look great because we have Green Bay tonight, and then we have the Colts, who are just absolutely putting belt to ass to Tennessee right now, which Tennessee is barely a college level football team at this point. But they are as advertised. The score right now, as I look, is 38-7. And then you follow that up with the leading passer in the NFL, which is Justin, and we lost him. I think he'll be back. Justin Herbert in San Diego is the NFL's leading passer. So we have him coming up, and then we will follow that up with the rematch against the Bengals. So, yeah, if you're going to be in I hate to say it because, well, I do like to say it because it drives Dave nuts, but elite level defense that you say you are, that you're paid like, then these are the games where you have to step up. Guys didn't have a good game last week. Darius Slay. Look, I didn't think I would see this much drop off with Darius Slay, but we really have. I thought he would be better but he's been kind of a disappointment. I thought Joey Porter had a decent game last week, could be better. I think a couple of those calls against him were bullshit and ticky tack, but it is what it is. You got to play the hand that you're dealt. And then obviously, Jalen just did not have a great game. But like I said, it doesn't matter how good you are as a corner, you are going to get beat. At some point, you're going to get beat. One play, two plays, whatever. The problem is those plays get a big shiny spotlight on it, and everybody, people all week I've been Jalen's washed. He's washed. No, he's not. He had a bad game, but so did everybody else on that defense.
Yeah.
And when they got gashed, then they started killing themselves. Keanu Benton was not good against the run, and subsequently that opened the floodgates. But yeah, definitely got to step up tonight, and I think they will. I think you're going to see a much better team. I think that they're going to bring a chip. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They want to win this game for Aaron Rodgers, and despite what Aaron Rodgers says, this ain't a revenge game. Blah blah blah. He wants to beat this team in the worst possible way. Not necessarily because he has ill will towards Jordan, or he fucking hates Brian Gutekunst for sure. I think he does no ill will towards Matt LaFleur or whatever, but he wants to show them that you guys let me go just a little bit too early. And that's, again, no knock on Jordan Love, because he's done pretty well with him, but you still, he wants to beat the hell out of him. And I think that the team wants to help him get there, and hopefully that's a little extra motivation. Hopefully they're not too distracted by these god-awful uniforms that we're going to be wearing tonight. Holy Christ, I can't even believe that they've brought these things back. Love the helmet. Absolutely love the yellow helmet look. But these jerseys are trash, and they could have saved it a little bit if they would have made because you've already changed the helmet from what the original throwback was. So if you're going to just call it a throwback jersey, at least make it look good. And instead of wearing beige pants, give them gold pants or black pants, anything other than pants. Like the pants don't even fit any part of the color scheme.
There are throwbacks that should be way thrown back, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's one of it. I'm racking my brain here. I honestly can't think of a worse throwback jersey I've ever seen any NFL team wear. I really can't. Can you? I mean, we've seen some bad ones.
Packers and the Lions are bad.
Yeah, the Packers, the dark blue. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
I know they had one that was pretty rough.
Yeah, god awful.
But still, if we're building a fucking tournament bracket, the one seed is the 1933 Steelers, like without question. Like I'll take. I know everybody trashes the Bumblebee jerseys that we used to wear for throwbacks for a few seasons. I'll take those all day, every day over what we're wearing tonight. So God damn it, if I have to look at those hideous fucking uniforms, I better at least look at those hideous uniforms as we're winning a football game. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to stare at that and watch us get our ass kicked up and down the field on Sunday night.
You're gonna wear shit
hopefully
like that.
It holds up. Right. Yeah. Like it's, you're embarrassing yourself. Speaking of the field, as we know, it was really, really bad the last time they played, which was a little over 2 weeks ago, when Chris Boswell famously slipped, missed field goal, and turf was coming up everywhere. They resodded it, and Pitt did, in fact, play a game on it. It'll be interesting to see what the condition of that field is. Even with new sod, sometimes new sod takes a little bit of time for it to truly set in. So it's hard to say what that's going to look like once the big boys get rolling around there. But looking ahead also, injury-wise, we're in pretty good shape. I believe let's see, what time is it? I don't think it's come out yet. Or yeah, it should have. I'll have to look and see what the list is. I'm gonna try and find our actives, inactives. All right, here we go. We have for the Packers, Warren Brinson, Luke. Oh, the place kicker, coach's decision. Dontavian Wicks is out. Lucas Van Ness still out. That's kind of a big help there being solid. That'll slow down their pass rush. And then their center for the Steelers, Scotty Miller is out. Other than that, everybody is good to go. And we have lost Ryan again. And there he is. Maybe. You having internet issues?
There's like a 3-second delay between the time you're talking and it gets to me.
Yeah, I've had that with Dave a couple times, and usually doing what you're doing has fixed it. But so for the Packers, I don't know if you heard or not. I don't know if you've heard. Lucas Van Ness is out for the Packers tonight, so that'll be a little bit helpful, but it won't help a whole lot because we still have to deal with Micah Parsons. I would imagine that they're going to continue to do what they've been doing with him, which is kind of let him flow around the line in different positions. But I mean, if I'm Green Bay, I'm going to focus him on that side where Broderick Jones is, who has struggled, although he has gotten better as the season has progressed, especially since we started going to this extra tackle and Darnell Washington playing a significantly bigger role than what he had in the previous few games. But the key to it is, without question, is to keep Aaron Rodgers upright, to not eliminate, but at least slow down Michael Parsons. And as you like to beat the dead horse, we got to run the football at least semi-effectively. And I like the fact that Jaylen Warren the last 2 games has shown a little bit of a spark, like he's kind of getting his sea legs, so to speak, and they're really going to need that because Micah Parsons, regardless of what he'll tell you or what some people like you to believe, he's not great against the run. You know, he's not a liability, but at the same time, it's a different player when he's defending the run than if you have to worry about him coming off the edge in the pass rush. So they got to keep him off balance. They got to keep that entire defense off balance with a steady and at least average to slightly above average run game and take a little pressure off of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we saw what that offense can do when he's got a little bit of time. And granted, that was against a horrible Cincinnati defense. One of the touchdowns Aaron threw last week was he had 8.6 seconds to throw. You're not going to get that with Green Bay tonight. You know, at best, you might get 3. And those guys they got to break open. Whether it's the dink and dunks, take advantage of the quick strike to keep them off balanced, the dump offs to the running backs, the quick hitters, play action, whatever it takes, keep them off balance and slow roll it down the field. Got to break that early struggle, which is a unfortunate trend.
Yeah, I mean, basically what we're talking about here is, I mean, Pittsburgh's going to have to put together long sustained scoring drive to keep their defense. I'm not talking about Green Bay's defense off the field. I'm talking about keeping Pittsburgh's defense off the field, having them well rested. Cincinnati ran 72 plays last week to Pittsburgh's 54. That needs to flip-flop.
I would agree with that. The only thing I'll say in counter to that is we were hitting bigger chunk plays, whereas Cincinnati was kind of dink and dunk down the field. So that's a little bit skewed, but at the same time, yeah, ball control is going to be huge. We don't want to necessarily continuously let them have opportunities. So I would like to see at least a couple of drives where we slowly, methodically march down the field. But at the same time, I look, if we win the game, I don't give a shit if every play is a one play drive for a touchdown. But you take what you can get. The other big thing for tonight is the return of Calvin Austin. He's been out for several weeks with a shoulder injury. Now, I don't know how effective he'll be or how much playtime he'll get, but he does give us a quick hitter threat. Be interesting to see how quickly he can get back to game speed and hooked up with Aaron Rodgers. He's been practicing now for this entire 10-day stretch. So hopefully he comes in ready to go, and that can take a little bit of pressure off of DK Metcalf and maybe let the tight ends kind of block a little bit better, a little bit more in the run game, but still keep them involved because as we've seen lately, last week, Pat Fryermuth had a big game, 111 yards, I think, 2 tuds. But it's just one more weapon. No, he's not a superstar, but it's definitely another option and somebody that Aaron seems to have a pretty good rapport with. And we're going to need to use them all.
Yeah, I mean, it is National Tight Ends Day, by the way. So they got that going for them. So, but yeah, they're going to have to look. Just empty the kitchen sink. It's prime time. It's Green Bay. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers is talking it down. But of course, he wants to beat his former team, just like Brett Favre wanted to beat his former team. So, as far as tonight goes, offensively, I'm emptying the kitchen sink and throwing it at Green Bay.
You have to. I mean, Cincinnati lost, so that's big as far as the division goes. But Baltimore won against the Bears. Now, you look at them; they're 2-5, and they don't look like a huge threat. But if you look at Baltimore's schedule, it's full of cupcakes. Like the remainder of their schedule is probably one of the easiest in the NFL. I think they have two games that I looked at on the schedule that might be questionable if they're healthy. They've been struggling with injury this season, so that's kind of hard to judge. But yeah, it's going to be. We had a chance to really put some distance by knocking Cincinnati off last week, and we shit the bed. So now, now we got to keep up. We can't let either one of those teams, for that matter, have any breathing room because our schedule is tough. I know you disconnected, so you didn't. I don't know if you heard our next 4 games, but we have this one tonight against Green Bay. Then we have the Colts. Then we have the Chargers, and then we have the Bengals again. So this 4-game stretch is pretty pivotal in maintaining our lead and kind of keeping those other guys at bay because the Ravens, like I said, their schedule from here on out is not tough. They got the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns, the Jets is their next 4 games. All games that if Lamar is back and healthy, they should have no problems winning.
Yeah, I mean, when you look
you close out with 3 tough ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's all right. And as far as the Steelers go, Packers, Colts, at the Chargers, home against the Bengals, at the Bears, home against the Bills, at the Ravens versus the Dolphins at home, at Lions, at Browns, home against the Ravens. So you got a couple of cupcakes in there. Obviously, it's harder than what the Baltimore Ravens schedule is. And then again, we don't know what Cincinnati shit the bed today, like you said. It's just this division is up for grabs, even with Baltimore sitting at 2-5.
Agreed. And I was talking to my cousin on the phone today. Cincinnati, they're probably only going to win 3 or 4 more games. I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that what we saw 10 days ago against Pittsburgh was just one of those divisional, weird Thursday night, anything can fucking happen things. Joe Flacco knew the defense. They're a bad football team that has 2 superstar wide receivers. End of story. Their defense just gave up 30 what points to the Jets? The Jets of all, like, they're not good. They'll be lucky to finish the season, in my opinion, with more than 6 or 7 wins. So I don't see them as a threat. But like we said, Baltimore, they are still a threat. If they get healthy, their next 4 games should be easy wins. And then they kind of have a little bit of a schedule like ours, and where it's tough game, cupcake, tough game, cupcake. But they got us after the Bengals, and then they got the Bengals again. Then they got the Patriots. Then they got the Packers. Then they got the Steelers. So they do have 3 tough closers, but we are kind of sitting in the same boat. We got this 4-game gauntlet coming up, and then we've got, like you said, we've got Detroit, we've got Buffalo, the Ravens twice, and then we've sandwiched in the Browns and the Dolphins, so that we have kind of a rest week, so to speak, in between a couple of those tough games. But it's still going to take, in my opinion, at the very least 10, if not 11 wins to win this division.
Yeah, and again,
key, we do not want to go on the road for the playoffs.
Yeah, and again, the Browns are the Browns. Like you said, the Bengals, who the hell knows? 1 week they look spectacular, and then the next week they're losing to the Jets. So, to be honest with you, right now, it's the Steelers' division for the taking. But if Lamar comes back next week, and like you said, if they stay healthy, they're still going to be somewhat of a threat.
No question. Absolutely no question. Their defense did play a little bit better, but I'm reserving judgment on that because it is the Bears, and the Bears have been very inconsistent with their performance, both offensively and defensively. So I'm not real sure. And we may not really get a true gauge on whether or not this Ravens defense is quote unquote fixed, for the simple fact that they are playing their next 4 games against teams that have been struggling offensively in the Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, and Jets. But if you're gonna, get better, those are like scrimmages. Those are like practices. It's going to give them experience. And if that defense lives up to its preseason expectations, that's going to help them get into that kind of shape. Or it's going to expose them as being frauds, and we'll know what's going to happen. But if they come out of that 4-game stretch 4-0, and they're sitting at now 6-5, what we do over these next 4 games as the Steelers is going to be huge, because if we come out of these next 4, with 3 or 4 losses, then it's anybody's division. Anything can happen. That's why last week was such a heartbreaker, because that one extra game, especially being a divisional game when you're talking tiebreakers and things of that nature, it's huge. I just hope it doesn't come down to being one of those games at the end of the season where you're just, kicking yourself thinking, man, if we just could have fucking pulled off one defensive stop, just one late in the game. Because, as soon as we scored that touchdown with Freiermuth, when Broderick Jones almost killed Aaron Rodgers, I knew that we were going to lose. We gave him too much time, and all the momentum, despite the fact that we had just scored a touchdown, all the momentum was still with Cincinnati, with the way their offense was just abusing our defense up and down the field.
Well, and the other thing too is, in this equation, Pittsburgh has to stay healthy as well. I mean, Aaron needs to stay upright. Everybody on that team needs to stay relatively healthy, because we all know it just takes one injury, a la Lamar Jackson. And God forbid, like Quinshon Judkins. I know the Browns aren't going to be going to the playoffs this year, but it just takes one injury on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball to just throw a wrench into everything.
Absolutely. If Aaron is to go down, though, I am interested to see what Mason Rudolph would do, because I think Mason Rudolph is a much better quarterback than he gets credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he kind of showed that a couple years ago when he came in and led us to the playoffs. And when you give Mason Rudolph weapons, he can make plays. He's a bit of a statue back there, but you give him a guy like DK Metcalf and this tight end room, I think there'll be a drop off, no doubt, but I don't think it'll be the kind of drop off that it would have been like back in the day when like we went from Ben Roethlisberger to fucking Landry Jones, or even the entire quarterback room that we had pretty much with Kenny Pickett and Duck Hodges and an early Mason Rudolph back before he had, George Pickens to throw to, or in this case, DK Metcalf. But
Yeah.
like, to your credit, yeah, let's just keep him healthy and not have to fucking worry about what Mason Rudolph might look like. And I got to say this for any of the fans out there that might watch this at some point. Stop talking about Will Howard and getting excited about Will Howard coming back to practice, because if Will Howard ends up on the field this season, it's not going well for us. Like, it's just not. Like, Will Howard, at best, will be an emergency third string quarterback. I've actually seen people on some Facebook fan sites talking about, oh, let's get him on the field. Why? Why? Aaron Rodgers is having the best quarterback season that we've seen in Pittsburgh probably since 2018 or 19, before Ben's elbow injury. Like, I love the fact that he's playing as well as he have, because there were a lot, and you were one of them, a lot of naysayers out there that just didn't think that he was going to bring anything to this team. And I think that he's done a really good job of proving them wrong. All the comments and things about him being a diva or drama or anything like that, I think for the most part have been squashed. You got a guy that literally signed this offseason, and he's leading the team meetings on Thursdays when they have their players meeting. Like, they look up to him. The guys love him. They're already trying to get him to come back next year. I'm in favor of that if it feels like we're close. But at the same time, that does scare me, because I've watched enough NFL to know that you never see it coming, the cliff. And you can go back. There are a lot of instances where you can go back. I mean, hell, Darius Slay might be falling off the cliff right now, but quarterbacks, especially because of how much that they are holding the ball and doing what they're doing. The biggest example I can give is Peyton Manning. You go back to when he went to Denver, he come out and he threw 50 touchdowns, and he's like, holy shit, he's back. And then the next season, even though they won the Super Bowl, he was horrible.
Yeah.
Like, the defense literally carried him to that Super Bowl. It was that bad. And you just never know when they're going to fall off. So while I would love to see Aaron back playing like this next season, it could be the year where he just falls off. Tom Brady even Tom in his last year wasn't great. You could tell that he was starting to decline, but time is undefeated for a reason. But
yep.
We'll see how it goes. So we got, let's see, Green Bay's 3.5-point favorites on the road. Most of the pundits I'm seeing are picking Green Bay. I've seen a few pick Pittsburgh, but not too many. Jordan Love coming in 122 of 176, 10 touchdowns, only 2 picks. Josh Jacobs, 111 carries for 414 yards, 8 touchdowns. So they got a balanced attack. Their leading receiver is the tight end, Tyler Kraft, with 23 catches, 4 touchdowns. And their leading sack man is it Rashawn Gary at 5.5?
So, yeah.
I don't think he's going to stay leader for much longer, now that you can tell that Micah is truly in game shape, kind of up to speed on that defense. What let's go ahead and what do you think is going to happen in tonight's game? Being said we don't have a whole segment of picks for today's action. Well, this will probably be a short show. But
Yeah, I'm just look. Steelers at home, prime time. Aaron Rodgers, the team wants to win it for him. Earlier in the week, as far as even on Friday, I was picking Green Bay, but I just think the Steelers at night, that place will be rocking with those horrible uniforms. I just think somehow, some way, that the Steelers will win a close one in the end. I just see it.
all right, I like to hear. What do you think score is going to be?
I'm going to say Steelers 26, Green Bay 21.
All right. Another thing, I kind of take responsibility for that Bengals loss because I tried to go live during the game and I made it a half. I've done that, I believe, 4 times. It's either 4 or 5 times where I've tried to do a live stream during the game, and we've just gotten our fucking asses kicked every time. Not asses kicked, but we've lost like every single time. So I want to hurry up and end this fucking show before they even take the field tonight, just so there's no bad juju. But yeah, so as far as what I think, uh, I I like you. I've gone back and forth. I keep replaying that shit show that we watched 10 days ago, and I'm more confident with this game than I was against that Cincinnati team. I really, really am. I know it's going to be a tough game. I know that we're going to have our struggles against that defense because they are a quality defense. I don't know if they are as good as people thought they were those first couple of weeks. I think that they had a little bit of Saints syndrome where, if you recall last year, the Saints just absolutely destroyed their first 2 opponents and everybody thought they were awesome. And I think they won 1 or 2 more games the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Obviously Green Bay is better than that, but they're not as good as they looked those first couple weeks. However, they are still a quality opponent. But like you said, home game, bringing in the throwbacks. I don't know if it's a special. I'm sure they're doing something tonight. I don't think tonight is the Super Bowl reunion. I think that's going to be coupled with alumni weekend, which I'm not sure if that might be in a couple weeks. I believe we have a Sunday night game against the Chargers. They might be doing that. No, I think that's in LA, so it wouldn't be that. I know that they have the Super Bowl reunion coming up from 2005, the 20-year, the Bettis team
Yeah.
be there. I don't think that's tonight. I think tonight's just a celebration, anniversary or whatever. But yeah, Sunday night football. Again, going back over the weird stats and trends that I talked about before. Mike Tomlin is really good coming off of this mini bye that they call it, this 10-day break between the Thursday night game and the Sunday night game. The Steelers in general and Mike Tomlin, very good on primetime home games that are Sunday night, Monday night. I liked what I saw out of the offensive line and Jalen Warren last week, or again 10 days ago. Granted, it was against a bad Cincinnati defense, but sometimes a bad defense can give you that confidence boost and you kind of get you going on a roll. So I expect them to play decent. I don't think they're going to dominate by any stretch of the imagination the way that I feel that they did against the Bengals, because again, the talent level between what they faced that game and what they're going to face tonight is night and day. I'd like to see them at least contain Micah Parsons and not let him absolutely destroy the game. I think that's going to be big. But yeah, keep him off balance. Jalen Warren's going to I'm going to say Jalen Warren's going to be in the neighborhood of 80 to 90 yards, probably 120, 130 in total yards. because it'll work him in the passing game. Hopefully we see Calvin make an impact, and then just limit mistakes. Don't turn the ball over. Maybe force Jordan into doing something a little weird. That pass rush needs to get going. I want to see Nick Herbig on the field a little bit more than he was last week, because I believe that he truly is a game wrecker, especially in the passing game. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think Aaron really, really wants this win. And I think his teammates really, really want to help him get this win. So at home tonight, I'm going to say that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to squeak out a win. I might even say it might come off of the toe of Chris Boswell on a hopefully much better conditioned field than what we had last time we were there. So I'm going to say Pittsburgh's going to win this one 27-24 is what I'm going to go with.
That's about right.
Have you followed, speaking of 27, which it's ironic that I come up with that name or number, have you seen this, that every game that Green Bay has won, all 4, they've scored 27 points?
Wow. I didn't know that.
So, yeah. So if they, not more than, but 27 exactly. Every game that they've won, they've scored 27 points. So we either need to allow them to get 28 or higher or under 27, and we're good. That number 27 is also the age that Brett Favre won his first Super Bowl. It is the age that Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl. It is the age that Jordan Love will be come playoff time. 27. That's kind of freaky.
Green Bay's not winning the Super Bowl.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But I agree. So yeah, we're both picking Pittsburgh to win. Real quick before we get out of here, your Chiefs they're off this week, correct?
No, they're playing tomorrow. They play the Commanders. They're heavy favorites. There's going to be no Jaden Daniels for the Commanders. I expect good things out of the Chiefs tomorrow night.
Yeah, I don't see them struggling with that. And as much as I hate to say it, and it's looking like they're finding themselves again. Rashee Rice really kind of changed the dynamic with that team. I know that you're not going to be happy right now with the way they're running the ball, but sometimes when you get a dynamic playmaker like Rashee Rice, it'll start to open those other things up. And the fact that the rest of the league and the AFC let them hang around might not be good for the rest of the AFC, because if they start to build that confidence and their defense, can step it up just a little bit, they're going to be right there again, whether us non-Chiefs fans like it or not.
Again, still need to see it consistently. I know they're 4-3. That's all they are. I still need to see something out of the running game. Andy Reid normally does the dink and doink, short little bubble screens for 5 yards here, 6 yards there. That's how he compensates for it. I still need to see it, Dees. I still need to see Pacheco get going or Kareem Hunt get going. One of the running backs take it by the reins and run with it. Right now, I just don't see it. It's going to be running back by committee all year long.
Yeah, I really thought Pacheco was going to kind of blow up into something bigger than he's been. And I still see every now and then when I do watch them, because they are on a lot where I'm at in Illinois. We get the trifecta of Bears, Chiefs, and Colts and Packers. Like, those are the 4 teams that our TV coverage usually handles the most. But yeah, so I mean, he runs hard, and when he gets that head of steam, it seems like he's a tough runner. But then the next, couple of carries, it's just like, nothing. So it's kind of weird to watch him fluctuate like that. Now they have a kind of gauntlet coming up over the course of the next 5 or 6 weeks that's going to tell us who they are. With the Commanders, which should be an easy game, but then they got Buffalo, whose defense doesn't scare anybody, but Josh Allen can still do Josh Allen things. And then they got Denver, then they got the Colts, then they got a very good Cowboy offense, despite what they showed today. Defense sucks, so that game could be a high score. Then they got the Texans, who have a strong defense and might be finding their stride. Hard to say. Chargers, Titans, then Broncos, Raiders. So yeah, they still got their work cut out for them. But if they come out of that with 11 wins, 12 wins,
if they can get through Thanksgiving, be 3-2 or 4-1 through that gauntlet, I think I'm not going to say they're going to be pushing for the division, because I still think the Broncos are going to win the division. But if they can get through Thanksgiving like 8-4-ish, 7-5, I think they will vie for a good wild card spot.
I 100% agree. Absolutely. They're a team I don't want to see in the playoffs. I just don't, because they have so much experience, and they're just not fazed by the ups and downs of playoff football. I'd just, if we let them in, they could be scary, and that's the rest of the AFC needs to take that under advisement. Do whatever you can to keep the fucking Chiefs out of the playoffs, because Patrick Mahomes just turns into fucking the Terminator when he gets into the playoffs. So we don't want to see that. But anyway, like I said, we're going to go ahead and cut this short, being so we don't have an entire week's worth of games to pick. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take my antidepressants and antacids and everything that's going to keep me from having a potential stroke during the game tonight. Again, both of us picking the Steelers to win. Should be tightly contested, and hopefully we have a happy show next week to talk about this glorious Aaron Rodgers revenge victory. Ryan, I appreciate you joining me.
No problem, man.
And for that, we will see you guys next week. Go Steelers. Have a good Sunday, folks. Goodbye.